everybody, and welcome to another 31 Days of Indie Horror. I'm your host, Jonathan Moody, and I've got an awesome guest here. How are you doing, Tris Marie?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. So Tris has been on my show before for Indie Film Cafe, for the
Yeah.
podcast. We were just talking about that, and we decided to have her come back and do another one right here. And I'm sure we'll get you on other stuff this year because I really enjoyed having you on last time. I think we watched It Waits, if I recall
I
correctly.
think, yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah. And we had it was a fun time. It was pretty
hmm
good. It was a pretty good movie to start on, honestly, for you.
hmm
But today we're going to be talking about the 2018 film Malicious. So Malicious is I guess is 2018, like basically an Insidious kind of movie.
Yeah.
Like when I was watching it, I was going, okay, this is like Insidious except changed a little bit.
hmm
Maybe the
Which
guys
is
were like,
totally my thing. I totally dig that. It's totally
right,
right up my alley. So,
right, which I didn't know. I didn't know that when I picked that, so I had no idea. Some people hate ghost stories, because they're too,
oh, really?
like, some people really believe they're real and everything, and like, doing this stuff is not a good, whatever, and so people are scared of that. And so, like, if I ask certain people, they would think like demonic or ghost stories, they don't want anything to do with them. You never know. It's but me, I love Insidious, I love The Conjuring, I love all that.
hmm Those are my favorite type of horror films. Yeah.
Really
So
supernatural,
I was
paranormal.
glad when you told me what this film was, and I realized that I had already seen it. So I was like, okay, so I'm gonna rewatch this, and I'm gonna I have the experience of watching it before and seeing, okay, why did I not remember like most of it? Like, and it is an interesting way to view it as somebody that was already interested in it, saw it, and then forgot about it.
Exactly. I had never seen it myself. And when you said it was unmemorable, like you didn't remember it before, I was shocked because, like, what I got out of the film that I liked about it was a miscarriage horror film. And by the way, there will be spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie, go to Tubi. I don't think it's on Amazon, but go to Tubi, go check it out. It's free. So you have no excuses. But like, it was a miscarriage horror film. So, like, I've never seen that before necessarily. Have you?
Mhm.
Have you ever seen a movie where the person has a miscarriage and then the baby of the is haunting her?
Yeah,
Like, that's fucking
yeah.
brutal, man. Like, I
I
like
think
that.
I guess I feel like they put a lot of like horror movie elements in it, a lot of different elements, like the painting and a box, and a lot of like interesting elements that some movies are just based off of one of those things.
Uh-huh.
And this had a lot. And I think for me, like there was so much sometimes that stuff got confusing. And I was
Right.
like, wait, what? Or like when they kept, there was scenes where the ghost would change between girls or whatever, whichever ghost girl you're seeing, and I'm just like, wait a minute, who is that? And
Well,
so I
that
think that
that
was my
confused
problem.
me. That
Yeah,
confused me too.
I think that was my problem when I first saw it. I was like, I didn't understand it, and like the the opening scene, and like, okay, who are these people? Like, how does it relate? I feel like, and maybe it was too much of a heavy load for one film. If maybe they would have focused a bit more on just one of those elements, one or
Right.
two. Maybe it
Uh,
was a lot. I don't know.
I agree. That there was a lot of different stuff in it, but as to go to the beginning, the opening, I always I knew, like, because I've seen enough of these movies. It's very formulaic. There's the 5 minutes. The first 5 minutes is like usually something. Something happens to somebody else, and then the box is passed, right? Like,
Mhm.
that's typical. I didn't know about I didn't think of this state sale, but I think that's kind of a funny twist to it, like the idea of that the people, he left the box at the house, and then the house, sold it, to this
Mhm.
girl, and like I don't know what like I don't know why she wanted to give it to her sister, because first of all, wasn't this like the sister, not the main girl, but the sister, wasn't she very like spiritual? Like I saw her doing like sage and all this other
Yeah.
stuff. Like she was very spiritual. So
Hmm.
um she must have known that the box was not good, in some way. Like that's what I
Yeah.
imagined. And
Especially going along with her attitude and how she interacts with the husband and stuff. I definitely think that maybe there was an undertone there of, um, which is, maybe this is a super spoiler, but maybe why he ended up giving it back to her at the end.
maybe because like most of the time she was kind of a bitch to him. And I
Yeah.
don't know, like I always just assume like that's just the bitchy sister character, which kind of is a cliche in these kind of movies where the
Hmm.
sister just doesn't like the brother, or her brother-in-law. So she's just like, hey, can you excuse us? We're gonna have some girl time here, and can you go
I did
away?
think that was weird though. She just had a miscarriage and she needs girl time. Like I don't
Yeah,
know. Like that was kind of weird to me.
I agree. I didn't like that because I also felt like this would be the time that she needs her husband,
Right,
not
exactly.
her sister, like her
Yeah.
sister, but then again, maybe a part of her sort of blamed herself for it, and maybe like having the husband around did kind of make her feel a little, because like later on there was a little bit of arguments between the husband and wife about that, so I feel like there was about the fact that she lost her kid, it was her fault, that she
Hmm.
did it because he believed it was because she was playing with uh the was it the carriage or whatever, the crib, and then
Hmm.
it really was because a ghost attacked her, or whatever, and her
But
own
why did
daughter.
she put that? Why did she put that? Bothers me.
Why?
That she put the crib together, or did she? We never actually
We never
see
see
her.
that, so I'm wondering if, because didn't he say he was going to put the crib together?
Yeah. So
so
why
the,
would she? There's no
yeah,
reason for her to.
so he thought she did, and she just
Yeah.
didn't wait for him, and it was the ghost that
Yeah.
did it, which,
I mean, I get they never say, right?
right, they just show it's made, which is even
Yeah.
weirder because like it would have been interesting had she just thought she had made it, but really like it was never, made, because the dead the dead, I guess, fetus or whatever, the dead baby is in the crib crying, right? So she comes in to check on the
Hmm.
baby, she holds the baby. It's all not real, right? Like none
Hmm.
of that is real. It's the ghost like fucking with her. So like then that means the crib wasn't maybe real. So but then later he sees the crib, but he never sees the girl. So
Yeah.
I like maybe that's something that just wasn't explained. You're right.
Yeah.
Because maybe like it would have been better if we saw her making the crib. The crib got
Right.
made, and then the that's when the thing.
Because you would
Um,
also think too, because he was getting angry at her for putting it together when he told her not to, like she could have said, well, I didn't do it. It was the ghost or something.
so maybe she did do it then, because see what I'm saying? Maybe she did do it,
Yeah.
and but
It's
we
kind
just
of
never.
unclear either
Yeah,
way.
because we
But
never see anything. So damn.
mhm.
You're right. I never even thought about that. See, if you were here with me while watching it, we would have both been like, "What? Wait, huh? What's going on here?"
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
because I watched it over a couple times. I was just like, wait a second. And then the fact that she just never addressed it either way. So I was like, because I think that if I was being accused of putting it together, like I would say, no, I didn't. Like I don't know who did it, or you blame the ghost or whatever, but I don't
or
know.
if you did do it, you still say something so that the audience is clear of what the fuck happened.
Right.
Like, him saying, why did you, you know, why didn't you wait till I got home? And then she's like, because I just I was bored and wanted to do something, like that's
Yeah.
as simple as that, you know.
Yeah.
That's all you need is some kind of clarification. And this is where in real life, like test screenings are really good, because somebody might write what happened, what is up with the crib, and they'd be like, oh crap, we need to go back there and fix that,
Yeah.
like,
Because for me, it's like, for me, if he told me, like, I'll take care of it when I get home, I'd be like, okay, I wouldn't touch it. Like,
right.
so I don't know.
I agree. So yeah, so the crib, the baby, all that stuff happens to the poor girl, and she's kind of, she's, like, I feel bad for her. He's at work. She doesn't work, I guess, or something, right? Like she doesn't have a
Hmm.
job, and she jogs and she sees or I don't know if that was before. I guess it was before that she sees the woman, or
Yeah.
whatever, that kind of tells her like you're doomed. She's
Yeah.
she's the character that says that because she's the old ghost and everything, which really made me like, okay, so he knew the other guy that we see in the beginning of the movie played, pretty well. I liked him because Luke Edwards is the main is that guy, and Luke
Hmm.
Edwards was in one of my favorite movies of all time as a kid, The Wizard. I don't know if you ever saw that movie, where they're basically Fred Savage and him are going to California to play a video game contest, a Nintendo video game contest. Anyway, Luke Edwards, he's been in a few like B movies these days. He really hasn't been, he's not a huge name anymore, but I
Hmm.
always remember him. And so in he was in that, and he played wonderfully, but he gets confused at the end of the like toward the end of the movie. Well, like when they say you know, we saw your wife, right? And he's like, well, then I'm the one they call crazy, but you guys are saying you see my dead wife. And I'm like thinking, dude, you killed your wife because she was possessed by a spirit that came from a box. Like, this is not far fetched that they would see your dead wife and pass it on to, and then they had to explain they had the box. Like, really?
Hmm.
Did they really have to explain that then?
Yeah.
But yeah, the wife scene, that scene was creepy, I will say. Like
Hmm.
the ghost, when she's jogging and she sees the girl like all bloody, and she had, I guess she had the miscarriage. Then
Hmm.
she gave the miscarriage over to the other girl. It's like
Yeah.
passing it on. What do you
So
think of
what
that?
I think, I feel like, for me, which relates to that little story there, is I felt a disconnect from the box because I feel like we don't have enough history and story about the box itself. Like it's just kind of there, and it like does this stuff and you're like, I don't know. I think I would have liked at least one scene where they kind of went through a book or something where you see the box and the history of the box and why it's all of a sudden doing this stuff. And it never is explained like that. So,
I agree. I agree. That yeah, no, it was okay, okay, because yeah, there's no explanation of where the box came from, and we get my favorite character in the whole movie is Delroy Lindo, who is really great in Get Shorty and a lot of other movies, and he's amazing in this as the blind professor, and
mm,
he stole the movie basically from everybody
hmm,
because he's that good of an actor,
he was
but
an interesting character. Yeah.
yeah, and Josh Stewart, who's been in like Collector and things like that,
Hmm.
he was good, but I can kind of say he was sort of unmemorable. Like he's
Hmm.
not a his character really didn't do a lot, like to just to be like, oh man, he's a great character. You know what I mean?
Oh
Um,
yeah. Hmm.
he's not a great hero. But the Delroy Lindo comes in there and tells him, basically looks around the house, right? That scene where he's looking around the house and he tells them, you know, uh, there's something evil in this house. let me go find it.
Mhm.
And almost started laughing because he's going around touching everything, but like he's obviously not blind, his like
Yeah.
Dario Lindo, because a blind person would not just go touch plants like the way he did. And I was just like, oh, come on. That was bad. Like whoever told him to do that was just terrible. Cause like, he's walking around, he's touching everything like it's braille. He's walking
Mhm.
around and he's like, and then he gets to the box and he's like, what is this? And I was like, I quoted that. I knew that's exactly what he was going to say when he got to the box. I was like, that's just too like formula, of a thing. Like, what is
Yeah.
this? And they say it's the box. He was like, this is what's causing your problems and everything like that. And I'm like,
Mhm.
so how he said it's something about I guess another sense that he gets or something now that he is blind, but like how can he tell that the box was it? Like that was the thing. I didn't understand any of that. Like, you know.
I don't know if it's he's feeling the presence of, because it's basically a demon box, right? So it's
Right.
probably got a lot of energy um that's always tied to it, regardless whether the demon's in there or not. It's totally theory. I'm just throwing it out there, but
No,
yeah, I don't know.
I mean, hey, look, we'll throw anything out there right now because the problem with the film, the biggest problem with the film is it leaves a lot to be explained. And
Mhm.
sometimes that's okay if you do it right. But I feel like this movie didn't do it exactly the right way, as opposed to like, there's a lot of great ghost movies out there,
Mhm.
Insidious. Insidious explained everything. And like literally think this is like such a ripoff. Like they were thinking, oh man, we could make our own Insidious movie and we'll just call it Malicious, because Insidious and Malicious are basically the same thing.
Mhm.
And so there's like this the lynch the beginning of or the toward the end of Insidious, when they're doing like the kind of seance thing,
Mhm.
and they're having the like the pictures or whatever, same exact thing as this, just a little bit different. I'm like, all right, so you guys are like literally stealing from the
Yeah.
movie that you're obviously like homaging or like a big fan of. But yeah, so is this as nearly as good as Insidious? Hell no, like not even close. But as far as like for me, as far as like indie films go, this isn't terrible. Like this,
Mhm.
this isn't something like, you know, and I
I
really,
agree.
yeah, I really like the daughter basically making out with her dad stuff. I thought that was so
No,
funny. It was so like fucked
it
up.
was weird.
It was so fucked up, especially because she was into it and stuff, and like she knew from the very beginning. He didn't know because he had no idea.
Yeah,
Uh,
that was
but
weird.
I didn't understand. Like, was it supposed to be like the dead daughter in multiple different times of her life or something? Because like,
Yeah.
who's the old lady?
Right. That got really confusing. I'm still wondering that right now. And also in regards to the old lady hag one, I was very distracted by her wig. I feel
Right?
like they did, I felt like, because I read reviews on this as well, and there was one review that they were like, well, there was no visual effects in this movie whatsoever. I'm just like, haha, okay, that's funny. First of all, there was, and that just tells you how good the effects were. But at the same time, I feel like they spent all their money in like cinematography and probably Josh Stewart, and then I don't know, they got the hag lady a cheap wig because it was really distracting for me. Did you notice that?
I didn't, but like, I don't think I was looking for that, at that time or whatever. I bet if I watched it again, like that would be the first thing I would notice, is that because I wasn't paying attention to it. I was more just going like, who is this character the whole time? I
Mm-hmm.
was like, what is she in relation to the box? And
Yeah.
like maybe she was the spirit, the entity, that.
And I feel like that's the confusion of who's who. Like, I think it would have helped the story a lot if they would have taken just one scene and explain that. I think we wouldn't be so confused about that part of it.
Well, now I'm also wondering why at the end of the movie, when the guy's in jail for murdering his wife and everything, why the professor, the blind professor, wanted the box. Like, what did he want with the box? Because he's like, "Where's the box?"
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, why would you care? Like, be happy it's not there.
Yeah.
But I wonder if he wanted to do some kind of experiments with it, or if he wanted, if you had somebody he wanted to give it to. I don't know. But
Or maybe he wanted to bury it, or I don't know, make
well, I
sure
mean,
nobody else got it.
wouldn't that be the thing that you'd be happy if you can't find it? Like, why would you want to, if you can't find it, then that means,
A magical demon box. I would be worried if nobody knew where it was.
Oh, that's true. Okay. Okay. It's probably, yeah, it'd be out there. Some kid found it,
Yeah.
Kid finds things in the woods all the time,
Yeah.
that would be crazy. But see,
Yeah.
I guess they kind of set up like where they could have a Malicious too,
Yeah.
with the sister getting it and everything at the end, which sort of confused me, like, because she's there, but did she ever leave? Or is she just gone one day?
Yeah. I'm not sure about that either.
Because I was like, because one day it's like, all of a sudden they're talking about her, and then all of a sudden she's like not somebody they're talking about anymore, and I'm
Right.
like,
Yeah.
so did she leave? Like, because like I would have loved for a moment at least of her to say, "Hey guys, I gotta catch a train back to whatever, or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. It's good seeing you guys. I know things were a little crazy because there's crazy scenes with her, like she
Yeah.
dealt with the I don't know if she was possessed, but remember she was in the bathroom and she was like acting weird and junk, and then
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
kind of left after that. It's like,
Yeah.
what happened to her? Like, oh, and then she gets the
Yeah.
box at the end, so they passed it on, which I don't know if that's the way it's supposed to go. I guess like you kill your wife and you give it away, to the next person.
And he must really, really hate her to do that after what
Yeah.
just happened.
Well, I think you alluded to it earlier that there was maybe like like maybe there was something more, because of her
Yeah.
bitchiness to him. Like maybe my idea was maybe they had an affair at one point, but
Yeah.
that's
I was just
once
thinking
again
that.
nothing ever said, like these are things that are so simple to put into a script that doesn't confuse anybody, right?
Yeah.
Like, but like he could have said something because there's that one point where he's like watching, was it her that's having that's like
Mm-hmm.
having sex with the guy, the
Yeah.
student and everything, and then he turns around and she's like, were you just watching me, fuck your
Mm-hmm.
student? And then he turns around, she's gone from there, turns around, she's gone again. I'm like, is she real? Is she not real? she was
Yeah.
she was real, it's just she wasn't real at that particular moment, I guess. I
Yeah.
don't I'm so
Yeah.
confused.
It's confusing because like the ghosts, there's not there's not really much different. There's not much difference about them, like while they're dead. Just like the girl that she saw in the woods, like she looks alive. They're not they're not pale. I mean, they pretty much look living. So it's kind of hard to tell.
Well, I think that was the point for when she saw her, right? Because if she saw like a dead chick, like whatever, she might be
Yeah.
like, this is, what I mean? But at first she
Yeah.
had to like talk to her or whatever. It would have been cooler if, she became dead all of a sudden or something, like she kind of gradually started like decaying in front of her.
Right. Well, I was thinking what would have been better for me, so I wasn't confused, um, was maybe she had that conversation with her, and then she gets kind of freaked out and turns around and leaves. And if she turned back around and she was just gone,
Right.
but that
Huh.
didn't happen.
No.
She
I
was
mean,
still standing there. So,
maybe you should have directed this movie. I don't know.
yes.
And wrote it, because then it would
Yeah.
make more sense.
Yeah.
If they do a Malicious too, maybe they'll like explain all these things, some way or another.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll have that character in the beginning and she'll be like telling all the information that we needed to fucking know from the first one. Like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, now we can continue the second one and we can kind of get to, know the new characters, and you won't mess up again on that, like on the writing.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I've talked about this on multiple shows and everything. When you're making an indie movie, there's a lot of problems. A lot of people want to put their 2 cents in. People want to, like, the producers want to have this in the movie. The producers want to have, or the writers want to have this. The director wants to have that. There's so many cooks, and a lot of times they
Mhm.
spoil the soup because they start throwing in ideas and they're like, oh, that's a great idea. Let's do that. And then that's a great idea. Let's do that. And that's literally what this movie is like, oh, that's a great idea. We got a box. Oh, that's a great idea. We got paintings. Oh, that's a great idea. We have some random old woman. And then people don't look at the script eventually and go, wait a minute, I'm confused. Why is
That's
this?
a lot to keep straight. Disappearing ghosts everywhere, then the doll paint, then the demon baby, and like it's just so much.
And the box reminded me of, like, I always hear the story of the Dybbuk box.
Hmm.
And I
I
was
love
like,
that movie.
yeah, well, there was a lot of actual stories, and lore about the Dybbuk box. I've known
Hmm.
it before there was the movie. There was actually, I think, was it eBay? Somebody tried to sell a Dybbuk box on
Yeah.
eBay, and I was like, that's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
Or whatever. And they were like, oh, this is a possessed box. Do not open it,
Hmm.
blah, blah, blah. But you know how many people fucking buy that shit? That thing's like, those things go off the hook because even
Yeah.
if it's not real, they want to believe it's real.
Hmm.
I'm still waiting there's an eBay one about a haunted rubber ducky. Now I want that movie made. Whoever owns that rights, man, go do that, because I would pay good money to see a haunted rubber ducky. It was a great idea too. This kid got mad at the duck because the duck bit him, and he threw the duck. And he was like, "What are you talking about? The duck was hot." There's something like, I'm like, that's creepy, man. But so garage sales and estate sales, stay away from them if you're gonna buy shit. Like buy this kind of shit. But like, the box, everything. It's just too much going
Hmm.
on in this movie. So like I said, I think like most of the movie was people having great ideas, but too many.
Yeah.
So
Right.
you're right. The script's got to be like, you read the script and you're like, wait, what? Like
Yeah.
how do any of the actors and everybody sign up to this movie going, yeah, this will make sense.
And that might be why I felt some disconnect with the main actors sometimes. They're probably a little bit confused too. I do think that I don't know how to say her name, but the wife, the lead, I think she did a really good job. Her acting was really good. So if there was hard things to go off of with the writing and kind of the confusion, I think she did really good. I think she did the best job with it.
I think Josh Stewart like was so confused. Like, do you ever watch his like
He just literally on
expressions?
his face.
Like, yeah, he's just like, my daughter just made out with me.
Yeah.
What the
And
heck is going on?
he never was really showed any emotion, not angry or upset or
He did once, and it was when he found out that she had the miscarriage and everything, that he was going to lose his baby. That was his like most emotional scene and
I still
everything.
felt it was weak, but yes.
I'm just saying, he had some
Yeah.
emotion. That was it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it was like amazing, like Oscar worthy. I'm just saying it was Ben Affleck and Jersey Girl,
Yeah.
whatever, kind of thing. Where it was good, but it wasn't, he could have done better, in my opinion. But and he didn't even really cry. I guess he was just kind of
Yeah.
sad.
I guess I think he needed to, at least in like one scene, for him to break like that so the audience could relate to him and connect to him more, I think.
You mean like the save the cat moment, where he does
Yeah.
something where you go, "Oh my god, I really connect with him and everything."
Yeah. Even
But
if he snaps back into his little cold state, because maybe that's his personality, but I think we as an audience needed one moment where he cracked a little bit.
I don't know. I have one question for you though.
Okay.
What does 1 + 1 equal?
Oh my God. Um, sometimes it equals 3.
Well, no, she said that when she was talking about the baby, and I thought that was kind
Yeah.
of cute. However, that became such an annoying bit. It was like they were hammering that bit
Yeah.
to us to the point where they even did like the flashcards with it.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
Yeah.
come on. I want to get away.
Everybody was saying it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody was saying it. Freaking the blind professor. Like nobody says. Like I've never once looked at somebody and said 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. To anyone in my life, and yet we heard it twice by 2 different people, and then he had to point out that my wife says the same thing. Blah blah blah,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, so annoying. It drove me bonkers hearing that
1 + 1 doesn't always equal 3.
or 2, right?
Does not.
Or but it does sometimes it is equal 3. I don't know what they were talking about. I don't know
We're
what that had.
confused.
I don't know what that had to do with the rest of the movie. Like if it was something that he had to solve, like it made sense for like closing the box, like like 1 + 1, doesn't always equal 2. Okay, so now I have to say 3 on the box, and then all of a sudden the box is closed. Like yeah, like okay, totally get it. I guess that was worth it. But like literally, that doesn't even matter in the scheme of things. Like if you got rid of that whole bit, it would not change the movie one iota. Like in my opinion.
Yeah. No.
So I don't know. It honestly, I was originally going to give it a higher rating before earlier, but now that I keep talking about it, it keeps going down. Because it's a movie that just irritates me, on a deeper level. Because as a writer and a director, I look at this movie going, this could have been so much better, like this had potential. Like
Oh yeah.
I liked the title. I even liked the concept, the idea of a woman having a miscarriage, and then it's her baby that haunts her. Like
And
that.
they had the best team. They had a great team together. Their visual effects were great.
Mm-hmm.
The cinematography was pretty.
Somebody
All
said
the
the
shots
visual
were pretty.
effects weren't good or weren't there. Like they had no.
Yeah, so I read a lot of about 100 reviews. A lot of them were saying the same things, but I noticed this one that said that, and I was like, well, that tells me that the effects were good, because I know that there were visual effects.
There were a lot of visual effects in this
Yes.
movie. Like most of the visual effects. So I'm sorry, whoever wrote that either doesn't know anything about filmmaking, or just or maybe you're right. Maybe they were having but apparently they didn't like the movie, right? Like they were saying, complaining about.
Yeah, they were trying to insult it, but for me, it's like, well, that tells me they were good though.
Yeah. It was good special effects and visual effects, especially with a lot of the ghost stuff and with the dead baby and things like that. I thought those are really creepy, However, like that just, like once again, great concept, great, just poor execution. Like I just wish that they had and I can't blame budget, because most of this stuff can just be fixed with just words,
Yeah.
and stuff. Somebody saying something that explains things. That's it. like a simple thing could have been fixed. Problem is, maybe another thing that's a problem is that when you have too many problems, like, with the production or whatever, it's hard to just say, okay, we'll just fix that with words, because then you have to over explain everything, so
Right.
a lot of people in the indie world like to keep things simple, one location, and I'm glad this wasn't one location. It was more than that. You had a little bit of the classroom, which, like, once again, why was he there? Why was or not once again, but why was the Delroy Lindo character, the blind person, there twice? Like, why was he like, why doesn't he just come after the thing? Like, I
Hmm.
mean, like
So he
most,
can sit up there and look mysterious.
I know, like, that was it. That was the only point
Yeah.
to it, which drove me nuts. It's just like, what is wrong with this? So all in all, I think it was okay. It wasn't a terrible movie, but it's not like I wouldn't say this is something that, like, I would never possibly watch again. I might watch hoping I see something I didn't see the last time,
Yeah. Or maybe
um
sort out some of the confusion. I'm actually, like I said, once I realized I had seen it before, I wasn't like, oh darn, I have to watch this again. No, I was like, okay, this will be interesting. I want to see what a second viewing would give me in, opinion wise. And so because I knew it was good enough that I watched it, and I knew that I watched it all the way through. You have movies that you turn on and you're like, after 5 minutes, you're like, we're turning this off, and it wasn't one of those movies. Like, it
e-
holds your attention, you know.
exactly. No, and I agree. Like, there are some movies where you're just like, okay, nope, I can't watch this. Like, I gotta turn this
Yeah.
shit off. Like, this is just pissing me off, or it's just terrible, and this
Hmm.
isn't terrible. This is just poor writing, and I
Hmm.
think the director is their writer, if I'm correct. Let me make sure that. But I think the director is the writer of it. He let's see. Yes. So Michael Winnick. And he's done things, like, he's not new, to Holly, or to working on. He did a movie called Shadow Puppet. I know, I heard of Shadow Puppets. I haven't seen it.
Hmm.
With James Marsters, which is funny. A funny side note, has nothing to do with this movie, but James Marsters, who played Spike in the what is it, in the Buffy show, Buffy
Uh-huh.
Vampire Slayer. He did a Spike Shadow Puppets comic, and he's also in a movie called Shadow Puppets. That has nothing to do with
Oh,
Spike. So I think it's weird.
interesting.
I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Anyway, just weird. I just noticed that he was in that. Um, but
Interesting.
yeah, he had Michael Winnick also did, like, Guns, Girls, and Gambling, which stars, like, Christian Slater and Powers Booth, Dane Cook. I mean, dude's worked with, like, amazing actors. He's written movies that have big stars in them. I mean, Josh Stewart was in Collector, and Dario Lindo was in. I mean, this is obviously a much smaller movie than that other one, but, like,
Hmm.
you would think, like, he's not new. He shouldn't be
Hmm.
messing this stuff up. So
Right.
I want to say there was something else. There was another problem,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know.
And that's another thing I noticed about the reviews. A lot of people were excited to see this movie because of Josh Stewart. And then they were like, well, his acting was a little bit flat. And I want to argue, like, I know that a lot of that is probably the director telling him, this is your character, you know?
Right.
So he probably struggled with that as well. But yeah, I mean, sort of flat. Like I said, I don't know. He needed a moment for us to connect with him as an audience, to care.
Especially if he was going to be the one who lived at the end,
Yeah.
Because I honestly thought she was going to kill him. And that was how it
Hmm.
was going to end. And I was like,
Yeah.
yes. I mean, no offense to Josh, but, like, yes, because, like, I just thought, like, you don't see that, right? And then I'm like,
Right.
oh crap, he's gonna. He's gonna kill her. He's gonna go to jail. Which, I mean, honestly, if you knew, like you had to kill your wife or whatever, I'm
Mhm.
sorry, but you would flee the fucking scene. You would figure some other way to get out of this, or whatever,
Yeah.
because
Or she would have ended up killing him, and maybe that would have been the moment we started to care about him.
maybe that would have been great. But that was like the thing with it was at the end of the movie when he killed when he or when she would look like she was about to kill him, I kept thinking, oh man, this is going to be great if they end it like this. Then she can like continue being kind of this possessed character, and this could be like she could get married to somebody else and things start happening that's crazy, like that would be
Hmm.
cool. Like
Hmm.
that's what I saw that's what my movie would have been.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, if that's not where they decided to go with this, I feel
Yeah.
like they kind of played it safe, and they decided to do something that just wasn't as fun. And all in all, the movie, I mean, I can't recommend this movie. I'm sorry. If you want to see it for free on Tubi or something, and you're interested in like Insidious or all these movies, but just understand you're probably going to be disappointed. I mean, I
Hmm.
don't. Did you see any good reviews? Were there anybody who actually liked the movie?
There were a few.
Oh
Yeah,
wow. No,
there
that's
were.
good. See, there's
Yeah.
something for everybody. So even though I can't recommend it,
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it a 2.5. What would you?
Oh, yeah. I'd say maybe three. Like I said, it was rewatchable. I didn't have a problem watching it again, and I
Would
and I
you
was
recommend
excited.
it?
Would I recommend it? um, I think I'd only recommend it to perhaps like another filmmaker that maybe wants to study it for study reasons. If I was going to recommend it to a friend, I wouldn't.
You
There
wouldn't,
are better ones that tell similar stories. So
right? Well, like I said, and an original concept with the dead, the miscarriage and basically the dead baby haunting them. Um, I didn't like the fact that she was older, and stuff or whatever, because like, I mean, what? Like, I just didn't get any of that stuff. And I understood it was all the entity, right? It was all the
mhm.
demon or whatever was in that thing, the ghost that was in that thing. But like, how does that happen? Like, I mean, it just
And
doesn't.
why was it the doll makeup? Like I didn't get why that was necessary. The doll makeup, I felt like that was a bit much on all
Yeah.
of them.
Oh yeah, yeah. And then and like who all they were, like what, like who was the old woman, who was the like one of the were all of them the same girl? Because there's that one scene there at the dinner table, and all of them turn and look at
Hmm.
the blind professor. Then they all turn and look, and then they turn around and they're all like doll faces and shit.
Yeah.
I'm just like, who are these people? Like other than the one daughter that we know, and I'm pretty sure like they're all supposed to be the same dead baby, and they're all the entity, I guess.
It's confusing. That's why I think, again, I think it would be helpful to know the history of it, so then we would understand that a little bit better.
Well,
Visually, that dinner scene there was my favorite scene. Just visually, it was cool and scary and creepy. Um, but the doll makeup kind of took me out of it.
yeah. So it would have been great. It would have been perfect, like a perfect scary scene if they just got rid of the doll makeup, because
Yeah,
it didn't make
I
any
think so.
sense.
Yeah, I don't think it added anything to it.
It would have been great if that were something that like the wife had a doll that she was going to give to her child. See?
That would make more sense. Yeah.
Why am I not writing movies like this? Like, I don't understand. Like, I don't like if somebody comes up to me and says that stuff, I would be like, okay, this can make sense. We can make this make sense. And
They threw so much in it, and even like, where you see her first like setting up, unboxing things for the nursery, and she's unboxing like these really old creepy toys. Like nobody puts those in a nursery unless you're doing some kind of gothic creepy nursery thing. But she's like taking out these super old toys. I'm like, I don't know anybody that does that.
Apparently, this lady does. I don't know. It was weird. It was a weird movie.
Yeah.
Like I, I was kind of thinking, honestly, from the name and the look of it, I was like, this is obviously gonna be an Insidious type movie. I want to say ripoff, but it's it sort of is, but sort of isn't. You know, it tries to be its own thing, and I appreciate that. But all in all, it was sort of it wasn't what I wanted it to be, and it was not nearly as bad as I was kind of
Yeah.
was expecting it to be. So it was kind
Hmm.
of in the middle where once again I just can't recommend it because I can't, just like you, I can't
Hmm.
recommend it because why would I recommend something that I just think is kind of blah to me? Like you said, I'm memorable. In October, let's find out if I even remember that I did this, you know? Right? I mean, like, wait, we talked about what was Malicious about?
That'll be interesting.
Oh yeah, maybe we'll have to do like some kind of like retroactive like video like talking about it, like you know
Yeah. I bet we will remember it though, because then we'll remember like, oh yeah, we had such great ideas how it
how
should
to
have been done.
how to fix it.
Yeah.
See, Michael Winnick, you should have hired me. I'm sorry to at least ghostwrite.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind that. I wouldn't mind coming in and just fixing people's fucking scripts because sometimes movies like this, great idea, fantastic idea, right? Like I loved it. Like that's probably how they got it made was they pitched the idea, to
Hmm.
some investor and they're like, here's the idea. It's about a husband and wife who lose their kid and the kid comes after them, basically or whatever. And I was like, okay, that, right. I'd be like, oh, that's pretty cool. Let's make that movie. Let's make the miscarriage movie,
Hmm.
and everything. And then because like there's so much you could have done with the miscarriage too. There's blood, and shit and everything. Like there could have been so cool like visual scenes. And the
Hmm.
miscarriage was the worst part. I would have to say it is a miscarriage of justice that they did that scene because because she's like sitting there and he finds her body and then he calls whatever and she's at the hospital and everything.
Hmm.
It's just it would have been so cool had they done stuff with it, but I guess once again I think they played things safe. They didn't want to actually show anything that looked too much like a real miscarriage and to turn
Yeah.
people off or something. And I'm like, if you're gonna do a movie about a miscarriage, go all the fuck way, man. I mean, right? Like nobody likes that. I've had
Hmm.
many friends who unfortunately have had it, and it is the
Yeah.
most horrible, horrible thing in life. Like, especially if you're really excited about having a child, which she was.
Hmm.
She was really excited about having a child. For her to miscarriage, that's just terrible, for that to happen. And I feel like they just wiped it under the rug, swept it
Hmm.
under the rug. You didn't talk about it
Yeah.
much, and it just became just kind of, you know. So all in
Yeah.
all, I think um, I don't recommend it, but if you see it, if you're gonna see it on Tubi where it's free. Don't buy it. Don't rent it. And I know the producers are like, oh my god, don't say that, But I'm like, dude, this is not. I can't recommend it. Um, but like I said, if anybody ever wants me to write one of their, ghostwrite one of their scripts, I can probably help you fix. Me and Tris could help you fix your scripts. Um, at least to
Yeah.
give them something that explains what the fuck is going on. Because I mean,
Yeah.
if you were going up for that role, and now comes from an actor's point of view,
Hmm.
I want to hear this because
Yeah.
you get scripts all the time as an
Hmm.
actress, and and have you ever read one and you're just like, what the fuck is going on here? But do you
Yeah,
still
of
sign on?
course.
Do you still sign on to it?
I usually will have a discussion with them, and I've had discussions like that before. I'm like, well, what about this part here? I'm kind of confused as to, what's going on with my character. And they're like, oh, you're right. Let me write this in. Sometimes it's even they just forgot to put something there. I'm not afraid to like speak up,
Right.
if if it doesn't make sense to me, because I want to understand it as much as possible, even if they're not needing to add anything to it, and they're just needing me to understand the backstory or maybe what's going on when my character is, first coming in or something like that. So yeah, I don't know, just I would be definitely asking questions. I couldn't ever go into there confused and not knowing what's going on. Even if we're on set and trying to do these scenes, if I'm confused, I'm going to say something,
Right.
because the more that I understand, the better I can do, so we can like not get stuck on a scene.
My question is, maybe they did. Maybe they explained things to the person, but it wasn't explained to the audience,
Hmm.
Like maybe the actor was told, this is what's going on. And then the audience is like, oh, okay. That doesn't, why did that happen? And just like the carriage scene, the girl, goes up to the crib, and everything, all that stuff happens. Uh, and then maybe she looked at the director and said, did I build the crib, or did the ghost build the crib? And then the
Hmm.
guy goes, oh, well, you built the crib. And oh, okay. But then they don't show
Yeah.
it, and so
Right.
she understands, but the audience has no clue whatsoever,
Hmm.
because it's just a simple like argument or whatever, with the husband and wife, can just fix that whole thing up in 2 seconds.
That could definitely be the case. Yeah. Or maybe it's just, some of it, just the direction to whatever however the director told them to do it is how it was done. And, you know,
I mean,
then it is
yeah,
what it is. You do what you're told.
you do what you're told, and sometimes people just, maybe something. And here's another thing: maybe sometimes things sound better than they
Hmm.
look. Right? So,
Yeah.
like on paper, this seems really good. On the script, this seems like a really good idea. Then you actually go to film it, and it's not as like, it just doesn't work as well. And
Hmm.
that happens to me as a filmmaker a lot. You just have to adjust it and make it
Yeah.
make it work, so it works for both the script and the film itself. So
Hmm.
I don't know. I give the people credit for trying really hard to make something that was original and different than its predecessors. However, just didn't work, I don't think.
Yeah. It was a
Well,
lot. It was a lot to chew on, and it got
yeah.
confusing because of that. Yeah, it definitely could have been better. I don't know. What has he directed since then?
Oh God.
I'd be
Well,
interested. I'm sure there's improvement since this movie. I know it wasn't that long ago, 2018, but
yeah, this was the last movie he directed. I'm hoping
oh
this wasn't.
really?
I hope this wasn't the nail in the
Oh no.
coffin, in the proverbial coffin. You know, the next investors. Hey, I got a great idea for this movie. We saw Malicious. Sorry. you
Or
know,
maybe I don't know, maybe he's working on something and it just takes a long time. I don't know.
Sometimes it does. I mean, if I look at his career, though, it takes him about 2 years. Now, however, 2 years would have been 2020, which is when COVID hit. So maybe
Yeah,
he does have another movie that he's got in the works that just
could
will
be.
happen to be 2021 or 2022 that it gets made because of stupid COVID. I mean,
Right.
that's
Now the lead wife, I noticed she was in Birds of Prey,
was
and that
she?
was interesting. Yeah, I went back and watched because I don't think I noticed her when I saw it. I now last time I saw Birds of Prey was in theater, when it was in theater, and that was right before everything shut down. But yeah, she was in Birds of Prey. She had a small part in the dance club. So
Oh, and she was also in Devil, which it seems like she had a pretty good role in that. If you ever seen Devil, the movie where they're like stuck on an elevator?
yeah, I did a long time ago. I have, yeah.
And I think she was because I just watched that last year for the first time. I was excited to watch it because I hadn't seen it yet. And it was, I mean, it was, I don't know, like it was okay, like it wasn't, it's, I own it, but I don't know. if I'll watch it anytime soon, again. Um, but it was good. And I think she played. It's a young woman. I think she was one of the girls in the elevator. You know, so
Um,
because
hmm.
there. Remember, nobody had a name. You know, every
Oh yeah,
remember because nobody said their name or whatever.
right.
So I think she was one of the ones that was in the elevator that was like upset at each other. And if that's the case, if she's who I think she was in it, I think she did a great job in that movie. But unless she's just a random person in it, that I don't remember. Um, and honestly, she's a good actress. She did really
Hmm.
like. I really liked her. I definitely liked her better than Josh Stewart.
Yeah,
Um,
I
but I
agree.
think once again, and this goes back to what you said, I think a lot of it has to do with the way he was directed more so than the way she was, because I bet she was kind of directed to be like the hero sort of thing, or whatever
Hmm.
most of the time, because she's the one we really follow most of the time of the movie
Hmm.
and everything. So all in all, I thought she did I mean, I thought she did a great job. I thought he did an okay job. I've seen him in a lot better, and he was a co-producer for it too. So like, I'm wondering like how much input he might have had into like
Yeah,
the way his character was and everything, because maybe the director did try to tell him to show more emotion, and he was like, I don't think my character would be like that,
that's a good point. Yeah.
which always annoys me. I'm sorry, but you're an actor. Like that's I'm an actor too. I act as well, and I would never tell a director that like I don't think my character would ever do that. Right? Like no matter how big I got, the director directs the actor.
Hmm.
Like I know that.
Yeah.
So but who knows? I'm not saying Josh did. Don't quote me as saying that. I'm just saying that that could be the case. Is like he is like, yeah, I think my character would do this or that, and be mopey the whole time, and it's too serious and
Hmm.
shit, and then have sex with my daughter, and then all this other shit.
Yeah.
Like maybe that was in his contract. He had to make out with a woman, and they're like, yeah, you're gonna make out with your daughter. Like your undead, freaking fetus of a now adult, daughter, and that was so weird. The second time where she kisses him again, and I'm like,
Hmm.
this can't be like actually really his daughter. It's got to be the entity that's doing it. That's like using the image of what his daughter would
Hmm.
look like to fuck with him. But like that was just
Yeah.
so gross and sort of funny. Like it sort of made me kind of chuckle a little bit because of how
Yeah.
like fucked up it was.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. I honestly was hoping for a little bit better, but
Yeah.
what can you do, right?
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today and everything. Thank you. I had a fun time. Once again, people go watch it if you want to. I just don't recommend it. Don't tell us we didn't warn you. It is not going. I don't. If you're a real big horror, aficionado, like I'm sure you are too, Tris. I mean,
Hmm.
watch horror films, so and you act in them. So I mean,
Yes.
this stuff. Just understand. We know this stuff. We understand, but it just didn't do anything for us necessarily. And I can now tell why you said it was unmemorable. At first, I was like, oh. Now I'm like, okay, I get it. Right? Like,
Yeah, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have just come out and said that straight away, but I mean,
hey, if it's true, it's true. And, I agree. It's a little unmemorable. But
mm,
you know what? We'll see you in October. So thank you guys for checking this out. I hope you guys had a great time. And check us out tomorrow for a new 31 Days of Indie Horror. Bye.